Report of the NEWZ with Bishop Grady laying over what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, I told y'all Julian Assange fucked up, but here we are. He actually was arrested today, taken out of the Ecuadorian embassy in London by British police, and there's no telling where he's going to be extradited to, because they did say that they're not going to extradite him to a country with the death penalty, but we know the U.S. has the death penalty, and the U.S. wants him bad. Now, the thing about this is, he actually is, first off, for those who don't know, Julian Assange, he actually is the founder of WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks leaks a lot of documents regarding the powers that be, trying to get over on the people, essentially. And in this case, most recently, the INA Papers offshore scandal was considered a thing where it highlighted how the Ecuadorian president, among others, were actually hiding their money offshore, which they're not even supposed to be doing, or whatever, you know, tax evasion, that type of shit. And but the Ecuadorian president actually accused him, Lenin Moreno, actually accused him of like leaking photos of his family and violating international law. So it might be a wrap for him, but that's why they came and got him. Green War and graduation. The NEWZ with Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, the Sudanese military has actually imposed a transitional military council to rule over the country for the next 2 years after President Omar al-Bashir has been officially overthrown. Now, there's been a bunch of protesting going on for the past few months, basically trying to get him out of his seat. The dude has ruled for the past 3 decades in an authoritarian position, and even since December, since the protests really got like popping, there's actually been 50 people killed. 50 protesters have been killed, and even it came to a boiling point this past weekend where a bunch of protesters went to the capital of Khartoum, Sudan, and were actually staging this massive sit-in, to the point where, you know, security forces were actually trying to get them to move themselves, but you found like security forces actually joining the sides of the protesters, showing that the president had actually lost military support. Now he's the fuck up out of there. So, you know, it's under military rule right now. We'll see how this pans out. Green War and graduation. We'll do the Bishop Grady laying over what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, I'm just going to report this real quick. It's kind of benign, but the Attorney General William Barr actually said in a Senate hearing yesterday that he believed that Trump's campaign was being spied on by the FBI, and he's launching a counterintelligence investigation into that. Now, him saying this, you know, people are up in arms, especially the lawmakers, because they're like, well, this shows obvious partisanship, and that's why I'm sharing this with y'all. Dude is definitely, I told y'all he was handpicked by Trump, but for you MAGA motherfuckers that sometimes want to watch me, if you needed any proof, like, let that be your proof. Dude said that without there being any proof, without providing any proof, and that's what they're demanding of him, some proof of that statement. And furthermore, it's actually dumb because the FBI spies on everybody, don't they? I mean, black people, we already know that. We assume they spying on us, like, especially if you moving and shaking. So cut it the fuck out. Green War and graduation. For the NEWZ with Bishop Grady laying over the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, Ron Vitiello is actually the latest Homeland Security Department official to leave his position, or to resign, as they say. Now, Ron Vitiello was the acting director of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and it's seeming like there's a purge going on in the Homeland Security Department that is revolving around Trump trying to impose these crazy immigration policies that federal judges across the country are saying is a no-go, that are going against their immigration policies, his own executive orders, and all of that, or whatever. This dude, Ron Vitiello, though, he actually even applied to be the head of ICE, the official head of ICE, and Trump indicated that he really wasn't tough enough or whatever. Like, so all of this is seeming like it's part of a purge that's being orchestrated by Trump's advisor, Stephen Miller. But, you know, more nefarious shit to come. Who knows what type of bills is being paid, or that he's setting himself up to be paid in the future. I don't know, man. This is crazy. Green War and graduation. The NEWZ with Bishop Grady laying over what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, Politico is reporting that Donald Trump is considering Julie Kirchner to actually head the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Now, the thing about Julie Kirchner is that she actually used to be the head of an organization known as the Federation for American Immigration Reform. And the thing about this group is that the Southern Poverty Law Center actually labeled this group to be a hate group, essentially. I mean, they expressed a lot of white supremacist ideals. They definitely seem to be like anti-non-white immigration. So it all seems apart, and there's already a head of the citizenship and immigration services or whatever. So this person is looking like they're gonna just be a part of the purge that's going on up there at Homeland Security. So it's just more fuck shit, man. Green War and graduation. Stay woke. We'll go to Bishop Grady laying what the fuck going on for this BFN report. I kind of reported on this already, but I just want to be clear. Benjamin Netanyahu is officially the prime minister again of Israel. This is a fifth consecutive term. This is his fifth consecutive term. This is record breaking. And we're talking about like 10 years at least that he's been in power. That he will have been in power. And this is also assuming that he doesn't even go to jail for bribery and his corruption scandals that he's actually been charged with by the police out there. Now, unfortunately, this means that the government out there is moving further right. You know what I mean? Because the Arabs are out there, they treated like the niggas. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, they're discriminated against heavily. Even to the point where when it came down to voting who the prime minister was going to be, Netanyahu's party, the Laika party, was actually given thousands of cameras at these polling stations so that people could monitor and make sure that too many Arabs weren't going to the polls. So they were discouraged from even voting. So voter suppression shit, same shit that we did. We'll go to Bishop Grady laying what the fuck going on for this BFN report 2 days before the deadline was supposed to kick in, where Britain had to make a decision and the European Union had to come to terms with Britain exiting the European Union. But they couldn't come to a decision. They couldn't come to a conclusion. The lawmakers couldn't decide officially how they were going to do this exit. Well, the deadline has been extended again, but this time it's been extended to October 31st. So Prime Minister Theresa May, everybody's looking at her like, all right, now you got even more time. Instead of extending it by like a few weeks here and a month here and all of that, whatever. All right, you get several months. You get the rest of the spring, the whole summer, and some of the fall. Figure it out. You know what I mean? That's how they're looking at it. We'll see what happens. A lot of this thing is more difficult than it seems because it's a lot of like tax and money shit involved as far as like what this exit is going to look like and the ramifications of this exit. How are they going to tax the countries that they are actually next to? Like, what are the imports going to look like? Stay tuned though. Green War and graduation. We'll go to Bishop Grady laying what the fuck going on for this BFN report now. If y'all been keeping up with me or keeping up with the news, y'all know that I told y'all about these churches that have been burned. These black churches that had actually been lit on fire most recently. There was 3 of them. 2 that happened like last week, and then there was 1 that actually happened at the end of last month. Now, of course, when black churches are being lit on fire, I mean, you know the history of America or whatever, like that screams white supremacy, that screams hatred. It actually even screams police sometimes, because you never know. They don't fucking like us. Let's keep it a buck. Now, it turns out that the suspect, they have found the suspect. So the people over in Louisiana, in that area, whatever, mind you, this happened in the Lafayette region. One was like 30 miles north of Lafayette. And it's all around that same area or whatever. Well, it turns out that the suspect that they arrested, this 21-year-old cat that was actually the son of a St. Landry Parish deputy sheriff. So again, the connection to the cops or whatever. This not the first time, and let's keep it real, probably won't be the last, man. Stay woke. Green War and graduation. We'll go to Bishop Grady laying what the fuck going on for this BFN report. Now, the House of Representatives actually passed the act, the Save the Internet Act, which is supposed to restore the net neutrality rules that were set from the Obama era. So, we'll see what happens. The House passed it, but the Senate still has to vote on it. And Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has already kind of like suggested that he's going to block the vote. You know what I mean? He won't even give the lawmakers a chance to vote on it or whatever. But y'all know what the fucking people want. It shouldn't be about what y'all select you want. Like, let's keep it stacked, man. Stop playing with the people, yo. But they gonna learn, you know what I'm saying? Because if we don't teach them, the universe will, God will, Karma will, you know what I mean? But Green War and graduation, man. We'll go to Bishop Grady laying what the fuck going on for this BFN report now. Independent Senator for Vermont, Bernie Sanders, and presidential hopeful for 2020, has actually unveiled his Medicare for All plan. Now, a lot of people thought that this was like, unfeasible or whatever, and that he was just going off on these like socialist rants whenever he talked about it. Well, now the motherfucker put the pen to that paper and actually has something in writing showing this or whatever, and a lot of people are backing it. Cory Booker, for example, Kirsten Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris. all runners for president in 2020, whatever, on the Democratic side, they have all backed this shit. You know what I'm saying? There's 14 people that are in the Senate that are actually backing this, which is not a lot. You know, let's keep it a stack. It's like at least 100. It's 100 senators, I believe. But there's still, you know, it still just looks like something that's feasible in the eyes of like some respected people. So we'll see how far this goes. He said if he's elected, he's gonna get it going. Green Wall and graduation.